James Delacey here from Sweet Arts of Fighting, another breakdown for you today. Liam Harrison's S&C for Muay Thai training. Now, this was sent to me again by Roshan on Instagram. Thank you very much. If there's anything you want me to break down, just DM it to me. Instagram, Sweet Arts of Fighting works. And again, nothing against fighters, coaches, anything else, just my opinions, experiences, everything like that. Now, Liam Harrison is known, I haven't watched this video, but Liam Harrison is obviously known for being an absolute powerhouse in Muay Thai. Awesome fighter to watch with his speed and power. So I'm interested just to see what he does in the session, and I can hopefully give you some reasons why. So this is a long video. I'm going to try to skip through it just a little bit, just so you don't watch a whole 27-minute video on its own. Okay, got the slingshot, doing some typically X-band walks or crab walks, or a billion different names for that stuff, but essentially just warming up the hips, nothing wrong with that. And then we are into some kettlebell swings. Now typically when we're doing kettlebell swings, you want it to be a hip hinge, right? So see how his knees bend a lot during these? You typically want, knees should just stay at the same angle for the entire movement. So slightly soft knees, and every move, all the movement should come from the hips. When you squat down like this, you're essentially changing the entire movement. So you want to have it fully hinged. You'll feel a stretch on the hamstrings, and you're going to thrust your hips forwards to turn it back around. You kind of diminish the hips when you're doing it like that, and you start to bring in the quads and stuff like that. You know, maybe they're trying to do it like that for a certain reason, but typically if you're doing a kettlebell swing, you want to do it with the hips as the main driver of that speed and power, because you're trying to turn that eccentric to concentric very, very quickly. So now looking at doing altitude drops off a very low box on this one. I'm assuming this is just part of that warm up. Typically, you're looking at just the ability to kind of land safely and put the brakes on. We just covered this in the previous video too. Side to side version of the kettlebell swing. I think this is just. So on this, typically you want to see the hips rotate a little more with this, right? Because you want everything to come from the hips versus just kind of swinging side to side with the upper body. Okay, I'm assuming what they were doing before. Yeah, I think all of what they were doing before was just kind of warming up for this, which looks like it's going to be a banded kettlebell swing. Let's see. Yeah, kettlebell swing with the bands. So again, the reason we use the bands, accommodating resistance, you're going to get overspeed eccentric on the way down, and then you're going to have to put the brakes on and turn that back to the concentric. So you're training that elasticity, power development with that. Again, ideally it should be more hip hingey, because that's kind of what you're using the kettlebell swing for. But let's see what else we got going on. Sounds like it's going to be a drop jump, like almost like a drop broad jump. Almost. Okay. So this is a form of plyometric or shock training. Now, 45 centimeter box. Let's see. So typically, depending on what you're doing, right, you typically want to hit the ground and as fast as possible, still try and jump as far as possible. Now, obviously, going from that vertical to the horizontal, you can have longer ground contact times than if you're trying to go vertical. So that's fine, but it's almost like this distance is too short, right? Because he's cutting that broad jump short, and it's kind of defeating the purpose. Because that drop, you want to turn that elastic energy and maximize the distance you're jumping out or up. That is the goal of that exercise. If you're having to limit how far you're jumping, you're not quickly turning that hard eccentric into. Yeah, he's explaining it now. It needs to be quicker off the floor and more explosive. But I'm assuming this just looks honestly too close. But again, you're limited by the space you have and stuff like that. So that makes sense. So another round of that. Same thing again, go from horizontal to vertical. It's just a nice way to be able to train in different, what they call force vectors, up and down, side to side, forward and back, etc. It's just a way to add some variation. Now, based on what I am seeing here, look, he's a powerful dude. But based on what I'm seeing, okay, that looks a little better. Based on what I saw in the first set, I probably wouldn't use this variation. Yeah, he's getting a little quicker off the floor there as well. But still, even so, yeah, it's looking pretty good. Looking a little more twitchy. I would probably go for something that's a little less intense or aggressive. Like, I don't think he needs to drop off the box as such. Just there still looks like there's a lot of that he could gain just from general jumps and more basic plyometrics, just from how springy he's looking off that box. Now, it's not to say he shouldn't do this at all or anything like that. It's just, again, my opinion and things like that. It's looking better now going to the final sets. So it looks like he's done 4 rounds of this. I think typically if I'm doing a broad jump, I'm trying to go broad jump for distance off this. So typically when I've programmed this specific drop broad jump, it's like drop and then get as far as you can off that jump. Again, space limited. What else we got? Okay, we're into the next one. So we're into, looks like it's just some band remedial work. So it was like Y presses and then band no, almost like diagonal band no monies. So for the shoulders, I'm wondering. So this would typically be better placed before what he was doing before. So if we look at like the structure of a session, I don't know how the rest of the session looks yet, so we'll see. That might have been warm up for this. Okay. Yeah, I can see that. Typically you'll have everything, all your stuff in the beginning, all the smaller stuff, so you can kind of just go straight through your main work. But this also works too. So we're going to do a landmine. We'll see what it's going to be. Looks like a landmine press at the moment. And a 5 reps on there. So it's another superset. Staggered stance. Staggered stance RDL, is it? Oh, staggered stance row. Pendlay row style. Nice. That's a solid exercise. And then here looks like it's going to be a throw. Landmine throw. Yeah. Okay, so supersetting landmine. So this has been upper body power superset. Supersetting a landmine punch throw. Relatively heavy, actually. Bang. And then into his staggered stance Pendlay row. Now, where this differs from a... Okay, it's not staggered stance, I thought it was. So typically where this differs from a barbell row, it's not about trying to connect with the lats and mid back and really squeeze and make it more of, say, a strength hypertrophy exercise. This is just a pure brute strength power exercise. You're trying to rip that bar off the floor as quick as possible. And typically with the Pendlay row, you're aiming a little higher, more like your sternum area. But obviously, depending on how you do it, you can kind of pick where you want to go. But typically around the sternum-ish area, and you're going to yank the shit out of that off the floor. You can even go a step further if you're a little more advanced. It's actually in the Dominate the Mats competition cycle in the Sweet Science of Fighting Underground. I used a variation in there where you use your whole body. It's like, you can always call it like a power row, power deadlift combo, because you're using your legs and whole body to yank that thing in. I really like the exercise too, especially for grapplers. Okay, so he's doing some more rounds of this. Solid. Okay, now we're into the next Zercher squats. Zercher squats on zone.
Sweet. Right. Straight in there.
Oh, not got something else. And then landmine rotations. Love these landmine rotations. So it looks like it's a superset. Yeah. So Zercher squats, yep, definitely have their place in a program. I'm not such a huge fan of them, just because, one, they hurt the shit out of your elbows. I mean, you can use a pad like here's too, but your loading is relatively limited just because your upper body's so heavily involved. Like you, typically you can front squat much more than you can Zercher squat, just because you're not having to hold that load in your arms and shoulders. So if your goal is, what's the goal of the session? I think it was a power session. Yeah, I mean, it's a variation you can use. There's nothing wrong with that. Typically, if you're looking for a stronger strength stimulus, or maybe even a stronger, like a speed stimulus out of it, you'll pick a different squat variation, as an example. His landmine rotation is very nice, turning the hip. It's typically the way I like to do them. I actually like to go one side at a time, and you can really focus on lowering while turning the hips, and then really focusing on the hips to bring it back up. But when you're doing it constant side to side as well, you're having a stronger. You have to put the brakes on harder basically to stop the barbell moving. So it ends up being a little tougher than if you're just doing one side at a time. So there's a good variation to use. Now, typically, if you're wearing shoes like this, it can be better to take them off and just squat in your socks. The foam bottoms on these things can make squatting a little unstable. It's not the greatest. Weightlifting shoes are a good option, especially if you lack the ankle mobility, and they're much more stable and will give you a much better squat pattern. So bear that in mind too. What else we got going on in here? Also, make sure you check out the description in the comment. The free MMA strength conditioning blueprint is there. I recently wrote that and got that all started, so check that out. So now we're into dumbbell floor press. Is it with it? Okay, with medicine ball stuff. Looks like a medicine ball chest pass.
Okay.
Oh, medicine ball punch, sorry. Interesting. Okay, let me see. There's a lot of stuff in this program. I'm not going to lie. Because there's still time to go. So, dumbbell floor press. Into his skater medicine ball. Okay. I think he's just trying to figure out distance for the ball.
Nice, good lads.
He's really close. He's not able to actually really throw that ball. You can see how short the throw is. I think he just needs to stand further back. But okay, it works. So the addition of the lateral jump can potentially be you. Oh, doing more of this. What's going on? Or did they change it? What's going on here?
That's the explosion. Good. That's one. Nice. Sweet.
It's a lot of fatigue for a power session.
I want to try to load it up a bit more and really launch yourself out to the side. And I want a bit more of a rotation as well. Okay? Yeah, come on.
And he wants more rotation.
Yeah, so.
So this is more of a tricep.
Good.
Or a giant set. I don't think it's I'm not going to say not a good one, but I think there are better exercise selections you could probably do and better giant sets you could probably do. So he's gone from a dumbbell floor press into an explosive push-up into this back to back to back. And the fatigue you generate from, they're not doing like 1 or 2 reps, it's like 5 rep sets. The fatigue you generate from there is going to have an impact on the outputs that you're doing from those throws and from the push-ups as well. I think you'd be better off. Plus, okay, dumbbell floor press. If you've got shoulder problem stuff, yeah, I think if you're really looking for strength power as a power session though, I wouldn't be using dumbbells. Obviously, if you're trying to maximize speed and power, you want to maximize the stability of the lift, which means using things like barbells, even Smith machine throws, things like that, where you can generate maximum outputs. With dumbbells, because there's a stability component, you dampen that response. So then we're into the explosive push-ups with the dumbbells. It's like that, like just those two, that's the superset. Boom, done. No need to add an additional thing on top of it because it doesn't. You're not adding anything to the set, and you've already done landmine throws too. So do you need to do dumbbell floor press and then explosive push-ups and then lateral skaters with throws? Yeah, I guess it depends what you're trying to achieve out of it, but I think this is like the 4th set, and you did 4 sets or 3 or 4 sets of that landmine throw too. It's a lot of work. What else we got going on? I think we got more. So now we've got like a hang high pull, followed by a rotational. So this session just honestly looks like a bunch of exercise supersets put together, and then just thrown together in any order for the session. And in my opinion, it's too much for a power session, too much volume, too many exercises. Okay, pretty much too many exercises, and I mean this one's performed okay. This one, yeah, too many exercises, just too much volume. And like exercises like this should have come near the beginning. Doing something like a hang high pull now after everything else that he's done is pretty rough, especially if you're looking for max outputs on this. So if I was going to redo this session, right? So we did kettlebell swing. Okay, he's already done kettlebell swing too. So a lot of the stuff's just repeated. You're essentially taking the same movement pattern and doing it again. He's already done kettlebell swing at the beginning, plus the overspeed. Hang high pull, in my opinion, shouldn't even be in this session anymore. This should be part of another session covering that movement pattern. Or this one should be in place of the kettlebell swing. Either or, right? Then we had landmine punch and rows, but we also had floor press, explosive push-ups, and medicine ball throws. So either the landmine punch ideally should be in another session or completely gone, and then you do that floor press combo, or you have the landmine punch and you might just do an explosive push-up, medicine ball throw combo, something like that. That way you're not just doubling up on the same movement pattern over and over, right? The explosive pin over row, that's cool. Have that in there. Then we had Zercher squats and landmine rotations. So ideally, those squats and landmine rotations should have been the last thing done, because you're taxing the legs here quite heavily, but then you're still wanting him to kind of jump side to side and use the legs to improve, basically throw the ball as hard as he can. Same thing, you've done Zercher squats and then for 4 sets, and then you're going into hang high pulls with rotational throws, which again uses the legs. So it kind of, the session structure doesn't make too much sense to me. That's not to say like, that's not to say this is bad, shouldn't do it, etc. And I don't know all the details of how the week looks, etc. So again, I'm assuming a lot of things, but just in my opinion, I think the session could be structured a little better to allow maximum power outputs for each exercise without having the fatigue and without repeating the same movements, essentially. So hopefully that gives you a little bit of insight. Liam Harrison is the man, and his have you ever watched his video on throwing a powerful hook on the bag? Damn, man, this guy is a savage. So not taking anything away from him or his coach or anything like that. It's just my opinions. But I will see you in the next video.